What's going on, traders? This is going to be a pretty quick video. I know I'm kind of late. I do apologize. I don't know why I'm apologizing because I set my own schedule, but yeah, I'm late. But we're here now. It's going to be a short video. The focus of this video is going to be quant data. A lot of you ask me why I don't go over quant data every single video anymore, and it's simply because, one, I don't want my channel, the focus of my channel, to be quant data. Two, I don't want new traders coming in here as new viewers and they see this and they just start blindly following this stuff, right? You want to do your own due diligence. You want to do your own research. I do not just blindly follow these trades. I don't encourage Discord members to blindly follow these trades, right? You have to make your own decisions when it comes to this stuff, but ultimately you want to do the research. You want to do your own due diligence. You want to focus on the technicals, all that. If it doesn't fit my technicals, if it doesn't fit the fundamentals, I'm not going to take the trade, okay? Now, when it comes to quant data, interesting enough, 5 minutes after close, an institution loaded up SPY puts for May 16th with a 508 strike at 534.34. The quantity was 5,500. This was at the ask, and the premium was 6.55 mil. Now, another thing that happened near close was calls. And so we click on this, I believe it's this spike right here. And so at 3:52 Eastern time, let me make sure you guys can actually see this. Yeah, so at 3:52 Eastern time, someone loaded up 550 calls for April 30th, right? And then you see they were loaded up at 534.75 when the SPY was at 534.75. Quantity 11,000, and then it was at the ask, and then you see the premium is 9.24 million. And so the question is, which one am I leaning towards? So if we're looking at the SPY, I've been saying this pretty much all afternoon that the SPY does look good for a move towards 550. That was even before I got this data from quant data, or these signals off of quant data. I was pretty much saying that the SPY does look good towards 550. Now, what's important to note here is that if we're looking at the daily time frame here, you're getting close to forming a death cross. Okay, you're getting real close. You're not there, but it's getting there. All right. Now, it's important to note that the market doesn't have to go down for a death cross to form. Like, you can keep going up and the death cross will still happen, right? We saw that with Nvidia. So you want to be careful when it comes to upside. Now, again, I do think upside is very much possible. If we go to the 4-hour time frame here, you're looking good, right? We talked about this double bottom here. You got your bottom here. Let's mark it out, right? You're looking good. So you have your bottom here, your bottom here, and then your neckline is 525. I mean, you just blew past that. And so right now I'm looking at a move towards 538. Okay, 538. If we can manage to get above 535, then we're heading towards 538. You get above 538, we'll just say 540 psych level, you open up the floodgates to 570, which I do think is very much possible. Okay, so your first target is 550 if you get above 538, of course, and then from there you're looking at a move all the way towards 570. The floodgates are open to 570. It doesn't mean you have to head to 570, it just means you have space and opportunity to head there when I say the floodgates are open to a certain level, right? So SPY looks good for upside. Okay, I can't argue this. The double bottom is still in play. You retested the neckline. You actually broke a little bit below the neckline, but bull stepped in. They stepped in strong. So what I would like to see right now, we go to the 2-hour time frame. You guys know my entry is based off the 2-hour. What I would like to see is simply a break and retest of this gap fill right here at around 543, 545, more or less. Break, retest, boom, you're heading towards 550, and then we'll see what happens from there. Now, interesting enough, when you're looking at the weekly time frame, so one thing, I'll probably talk more about this in another video. I'm not going to go too deep into it now, but I would encourage you to have the 50 SMA on your charts, especially the weekly, and just pay attention to it, because this is the deciding factor on whether we're going to continue towards the upside or we're going to see a reversal and head lower. If you look in the past, a lot of times when you break below the 50 on the SPY on a weekly time frame, you tend to retest it before heading lower. So right here you retested, headed lower. Right here you retested, headed somewhat lower, and then you started creating higher lows. And so back in 2018 when Trump was president, and we were also having a trade war during that time, I believe it was like right here. As you guys can see, you broke below, right? You broke below the 50 SMA. You kept on retesting it, and you started to make a lower low, and then you hit the 200 MA. So I still don't think the bottom is in, and the only way I would think a bottom is in officially is if we break above the 50 SMA. All right, at that point, then I'll start screaming all-time highs. If we can break and hold above the 50 SMA on a weekly time frame and get a nice close, I do think the possibility of all-time highs is on the table at that point. But given what we've seen in the past, guys, it's very much possible we just simply retest the 50 SMA at around 570, 565, may even just hit 550 and reject from there, and then we just break further down, hit the 200 weekly MA, all the way towards about 465. All right. Now, given our president, given how irrational he's been lately, I wouldn't say irrational, but just given how random he has been lately, it's very much possible. Okay, it's very much possible. Now, when we go back to quant data here, in regards to which one of these is going to play out, it can simply be a hedge. The only issue with saying something is a hedge, it has to be from the same person, right? Two different exchanges hedging, going into two different positions is not necessarily hedging. It's just two exchanges doing two different things. Okay, so it's going to be very interesting to see how this plays out. Me, I'm leaning more so on the bullish side. This has a further out expiration, so we'll have to wait and see. Now, another thing we want to keep in mind is that just because they have 508 puts doesn't necessarily mean the SPY has to head to 508. Maybe Monday the SPY tanks to like 530. These guys take profit, and then we head higher. The same can be said for these guys. All right. Maybe Monday or Tuesday, whatever, the SPY has higher. Maybe it hits like 540 or something like that. And then these guys take profit, okay? And then we see the SPY tank. So we don't know for sure, okay? But I'm leaning more so for upside here, just given on what we're seeing on the technicals right now. We go to the 4-hour time frame. Again, we got this double bottom. We retested. We retested like the bottom of the neckline, pretty much the supply and demand zone here. So let me mark it out for you guys. Which I didn't consider in my double bottom video. I didn't consider this being a possibility, so that's on me. But yeah, you hit the bottom of this supply and demand zone, and then you broke back towards the upside. So if we're talking about the measured move of this double bottom here, so we measure from the neckline from the neckline to the previous bottom, right? We bring it to the original breaking point of the neckline, and you're looking at a move towards 565 as a projected measured move for this double bottom. So 570 is definitely possible here. We'll have to wait and see. Another interesting thing that happened on quant data today is if we go to consolidated order flow, we look at Apple, if I can find it. So right here, we see that institutions loaded up Apple calls, April 25th Apple calls with a strike of 210. They were loaded at 192.23, right? And again, they were loaded when Apple was at 192. And as you guys can see, Apple pumped all the way to the, like almost immediately when I saw that alert, Apple started pumping towards the upside. So if Apple is going to pump towards the upside, I think it's safe to say that the overall market is going to start pumping as well. Now, Apple does have a habit of doing its own thing, regardless of the market, but I do think that Apple is heading towards this part of this gap fill. I wouldn't say towards 220, but I would say at least towards 210, simply because you do have a lot of resistance at 210, like a lot of resistance. So it's going to take a lot for Apple to really break through here, but we are in the territory of these bulls right here. So I think these guys are going to drag Apple even higher, and then obviously that will help the SPY pump higher and the triple Qs pump higher as well. So I'm looking at obviously 210. 210 as a resistance level. If we go to the 2-hour time frame here, if we manage to simply just break and retest 210, I don't know why it's different here. That was weird, but 210, then obviously we can head towards that 220 gap fill. All right. And Apple did a def cross as well, right? I don't know if I mentioned this before, but Apple has done a def cross, right? Historically, when a def cross does happen, I wouldn't say historically, but a lot of times when def crosses do happen, I'm hoping I can find an example on Apple and I don't have to go to another chart. But yeah, you tend to do something like this where you can pump back towards the upside despite the def cross, and then the 50 will like retest it or something like that, or it don't even have to retest it, and then you dump back down again. So just because we're seeing upside right now does not mean it invalidates this def cross. All right, I want to make that clear. So Apple, yes, has the potential to head towards the upside. I'm not looking at all-time highs. I'm sure other people are. Like I told you guys in my one Apple video, I said Apple was a buy at 183. I alerted Discord members to start buying Apple shares at 177. And here we are. Looks like Apple's going to continue to pump towards the upside. A lot of you said I was too late. I'm too early on investing right now and all that fun stuff, but you got to buy these discounts, man. You got to buy these discounts. The market doesn't care about what you think, okay? So anything can change at any given moment, of course. But yeah, beautiful buying opportunity for us on Apple. I put out a video for you guys letting you know to buy Apple. Hopefully someone listened. All right. And so overall, heading into next week, I would just say be careful, especially given how our president is right now, how just random he can be with these tariffs. Um, and like I said, just because you see these 508 puts, it doesn't necessarily mean the SPY has to head to 508. It can simply mean that maybe this guy is expecting SPY to dump a little bit, take profit, and then jump out. And it's the same for those calls we were just talking about, right? Where, and I'm actually in these calls. I didn't alert this to Discord members, but I did put in the chat that I'm in these. I got in after hours. Actually, I jumped into these after hours. Yes, you can trade 15 minutes after hours, after the bell, 15 minutes after the bell. You can trade depending on your broker. So I put in a chat saying, hey, you got 10 minutes to jump in, and we'll see what happens. But yes, I did jump into these. So we'll see. As far as the Discord goes, so I want to make something clear, guys. My Discord is not made for newbie traders, and I mean traders that don't know anything. I won't even call you a trader. You're just some, I don't know, ghost, okay? Whatever, poltergeist or something. But my Discord is not made for new people. I think that's clear when I'm talking about things like quant data and stuff like that. I think it's pretty clear that it's not made for new members, or not new members, but new traders who just don't know anything about anything. And that's not against you, but I'm not teaching anything. I'm not making classes and all that other stuff. I'm not doing all this extra stuff to teach someone who can just simply go on Google and find out the same information, right? My Discord is made for people to build confidence, right? If you want to build confidence, if you want to be more confident in decision making, right, then I think my Discord is perfect for people like that, right? Because a lot of new people, so her, for example, and I'm sorry if I have to, if you're if you're like offended that I'm using you right now, but her, for example, she's let me know twice so far that, one, she loves the Discord, and two, she made 4K, I believe, this week. I could be wrong about this exact amount, but she's definitely up like 10K or something like that, right? But I didn't even trade today, right? I didn't alert any trades today. I just put out a bunch of trade ideas that, traders can take. And she took the initiative and she jumped into these 550 calls, right, that I was just talking about in this earlier in this video, and she made $150 profit. So, she traded on her own. She made her own decision. She traded on her own. So if you want that type of confidence, because whether it's my Discord or any other Discord, you want to be able to make decisions on your own, because you don't know what's going to happen to that Discord host, right? I could just say screw it all and just stop trading and just disappear, right? Or anything can happen to me, right? So you don't want to depend on a Discord host for the rest of your life, obviously, right? Now, if you want to be a part of a community, great, that's awesome. But you shouldn't be, 10 years in the game and you're still like, hey, Titan, should I do this? Should I do that? Right? You want to be able to make decisions on your own, right? Even here, she made $200 just off of simply looking at my charts, right? So that's the type of traders that I want in the Discord. Again, I don't give courses. I will answer questions, of course, but I'm not giving courses. I'm not giving classes, because you're literally on YouTube right now. If you want to learn how to trade, simply look up some videos on how to trade, right? Simply go to Google and do that. But I'm not giving courses. I'm not giving classes. If you want to build confidence, if you want to take initiative, if you want to, be able to look at a trade that I put out or an alert that I put out and be confident enough and consult with the trading community, like our community, and be able to be like, all right, cool, I'm just going to jump into these trades, right? Because, we're all agreeing on it. Then this is the Discord for you, okay? And these guys are new, like they're fairly new, okay? And I didn't trade, again, I didn't make any trades today. All I did was put out a bunch of trade ideas. I told everybody what institutions were doing. And yeah, that was it. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below about these contracts in regards to the SPY. Do you think they're hedging? Do you think the market's going to see another leg down? Do you think we're just going to pump towards the upside? Let me know what you guys think. I'm going to make more videos, obviously, this weekend on specific stocks. So also let me know what you guys want me to go over. It better not be a penny stock. I'm going to laugh at you. All right. Until the next video, traders, have a good one.